they have to make a deal. And it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war. And they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
I do want to get into some of the discussion as people push back and say Iran doesn't want a nuclear weapon, or they do have a nuclear program, but for peaceful purposes. And that's what the Iranians themselves say. So I want to get into that. Let's start with Iran's premise that they want to develop nuclear power. They want to enrich uranium for peaceful civilian purposes. And so your first question may be, well, does Iran have nuclear power plants? Do they have a need for this, or is that their goal? And the answer to that is yes. Iran currently has one nuclear power plant, and they have plans to build 2 more, they say. So then you follow that trail and you go, okay, well, if they have one nuclear power plant and they are enriching uranium, and they say it's for peaceful purposes, and they say that it is for civilian use, not military use, how much of their current nuclear enrichment program goes to the power plant versus for other purposes? And if you were to sit there and think, you'd think, well, obviously, if that's what they say, it's for civilian use, it's peaceful purposes, it's got to be a large amount of it is actually going to that power plant. How about this? 0%. None of the enriched uranium that Iran is creating in these underground, heavily fortified bunkers goes to that nuclear power plant. All of that enriched uranium comes from Russia. Russia supplies the fuel for the power plant. And then once that uranium is depleted, they take the fuel rods away back to Russia. So none of this enrichment that Iran is spending hundreds of billions of dollars on creating and developing is even going for the purposes they say it's going for. Now, they also claim it's for medical research. And by the way, that enrichment level is 3 to 5% enriched uranium for a nuclear power plant. 3 to 5%. Then you may need some more highly enriched uranium for medical research, for creating isotopes for medical research or imaging. In this, they bombard uranium with other elements to create isotopes that can be used in diagnostics, in treatment. How much enriched uranium do you need for that? Well, it needs to be under 20%, but really between 10 and 20% enriched uranium. Right now, Iran, by their own admission, this isn't people just speculating, thinking. Iran has told the world defiantly, we are enriching up to 60%. And they are still claiming that it is for civilian purposes, for peaceful purposes. That is a lie wrapped in a lab coat. Because what they are doing is they are putting themselves on the brink, on the precipice of weapons-grade uranium. You don't want 60% enriched uranium for a nuclear power plant. You want it 3 to 5%, which is what they get from Russia, because they can control the chain reaction much better, more safely, with 3 to 5% enriched as opposed to 60%. So what's the whole purpose of this 60% uranium, you ask? That is one step away from 90%, which is what they would want to put on a nuclear warhead to target Israel, to target U.S. bases, to target the United States itself. Why, if they are saying it's for peaceful purposes, are they telling the world they're enriching to 60%? Now, how long does it take to go from 60% to 90%? You hear they are days away. It would take the Iranians 1 week to enrich their 60% uranium to 90% to have enough for one nuclear weapon. In a month, they could have 6. In about 5 months, they could have 12. And now, how do you go from 60% to 90%? You hear about centrifuges and underground facilities. Think of a salad spinner. where you wash lettuce for a salad, you put it in the bowl, you spin it, the water goes out to the side, you've got clean lettuce ready for a nice, healthy summer salad. To get the isotope that is able to have a nuclear chain reaction, you have to separate it from an isotope found more abundantly in nature that doesn't act that way. So they put it in these centrifuges and they spin 50,000 times a minute, and it pushes uranium in a gas state, the more dense element, which is better, more highly enriched for the nuclear chain reaction, out to the sides. They collect that, and they have to keep doing this to get it more highly enriched. By the time you've gotten to 60%, you have so much density of the element you need, the isotope you need. It's a very quick jump. You've done 99% of the work. You've done all the hard stuff to get from 60% to 90%. And what are they stockpiling right now? 60% enriched uranium. They've told the world this. The IAEA, not friendly to Israel and the United States, has told the world they're doing this. They've been stonewalling inspectors. If they want this to be a peaceful program for a nuclear power plant and 2 more, they would be enriching at 3 to 5%, and they would be providing energy to their people. But they're not. They're spending billions and billions of dollars that the sanctions relief from the JCPOA and the Biden administration allowed to continue for them to make ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles that can target Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, U.S. bases. They haven't been spending it on their people. And that's why you see people that are chanting death to the Ayatollah, that are standing up and seeing a moment where they could have a real future. The proud Persian people could return, not the Islamic Republic of Iran. So don't let anyone tell you that Iran is trying to do this for peaceful purposes. They are posturing. They are saying, we will do it. And when you are a genocidal, theocratic death cult, that in order to bring out your twisted messianic era where Shia Muslims rule the entire world, they have to take out Israel. That is their theology. That is why the Iranians can never have a nuclear weapon. That's why President Trump knows that's the case. If ISIS had 60% enriched uranium, everyone in the world would say, take them out, destroy that. They can't be trusted with that. That's what Iran is. Iran is not a stable, rational government. They are pursuing nuclear weapons to bring about global rule by ushering in the 12th Imam. That's why they have to be stopped. They have to be thought about differently. And that's why we stand with Israel and their action. And that's why we stand with the president in saying they can never have a nuclear bomb.
We are so excited to announce the ACLJ's brand new app, completely redesigned to provide you with the best tools available to partner with us at the ACLJ. You can watch the daily Secular program, sign the petitions, customize your ACLJ membership experience, donate with the click of a button, and receive up-to-the-minute critical updates that the mainstream media can't censor. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to your phone's app store, search ACLJ, and click install. It's that simple.